welcome to another episode of the Royal Report, a new sports talk show centered around your Sacramento Kings. I hope you all had a safe and happy New Year's, and we're proud to announce the Sacramento Kings are 3-2 and looking like a playoff contender in the Western Conference.
Yeah, they certainly are. We want to thank everybody out there for watching first and foremost. If you haven't already, please drop a like and subscribe to our channel. For more daily content, follow us on Instagram at Royal Rebounds, and be sure to check out our website, royalrebounds.com. On today's show, we're going to dive deeper into a few of the early season performances from key members of our Sacramento Kings. We'll discuss the Warriors' early season struggles, but we begin today with a few hot starts from a handful of teams around the league. Barry, which teams are standing out to you?
Two teams that stand out to me. The first one is the Cleveland Cavaliers. They had a red-hot start, 3-0 before dropping their last two games, fueled by amazing play by two young guards in Colin Sexton and Darius Garland. They've also had large contributions from their big man, Andre Drummond, and that's really what's been their catalyst this season in turning it around. Second team would be the Sacramento Kings. Very happy about it. Can't say that I wasn't surprised. I had my doubts this offseason, lots of drama and things going around and drafting players, talking about rebuilding, hearing from tons of fans wanting to tank this year. So I definitely had my doubts, and I am ecstatic that they are 3-2. What about you, Calvin?
Well, I agree with you absolutely about Sacramento. It is so nice to see that they're competing night in and night out, and you just always feel watching them like they're in every game. They got a chance to win. That's I feel like one of the biggest hurdles to get over initially for a team that has a long line of losing in the past. So great to see that. I'm gonna give you three teams: Phoenix, Atlanta, and Orlando. Phoenix, I'm certainly not surprised to see that they are winning. I'm more surprised at how quickly they seem to be putting it together, and they really look like they could be a serious contender moving forward. And to me, that's got to be a direct result of the Chris Paul effect on this team. He's averaging nearly a double-double for them, playing great alongside Devin Booker. Defensively is where they're really impressing me. They're number one in the league in points allowed per game. They're giving up less than 100 points per game on average, which in today's NBA is absolutely amazing with all the scoring. They're shooting lights out, 39% from three as well, so they seriously look like a very, very good team. Atlanta, I'm blown away with their offensive statistics. They can score and score and score, and man, do they have a lot of shooters on that team. They're leading the league in points per game at nearly 130 a game. They lead the league in three-point percentage and three-point attempts. They're shooting as a team 41% from three and averaging 40 attempts per game from three. That's just astonishing. Trae Young is playing great for them, 33 points a game this year. He feels like he's taken another step. I think he gets lost in the shuffle a little bit in a lot of the other great players in this league, but he really continues to improve every year. And again, just like Chris Paul is having a great effect with his veteran leadership in Phoenix, I think Rajon Rondo, adding him to the Atlanta Hawks, is having the same effect on their performances so far. And then finally, Orlando, they got off to a real quick start, 4-0. Kind of surprised a lot of people. They did get blown out yesterday when they played Philadelphia, who's also playing very, very well. But they're getting a lot of great production off their bench. Terrence Ross is leading them in scoring, coming off the bench at 21 points per game. Cole Anthony has played very, very well so far in his rookie season. Markelle Fultz has played great, and Vucevic continues to play at an all-star level. They've got 5 guys averaging over 13 points per game. So they have impressed me definitely in their early start as well.
A couple more teams I want to mention. Philadelphia 76ers are 4-1, leading the Eastern Conference. The LA Clippers are 4-1, leading the Western Conference. The Dallas Mavericks are 1-3. Very surprising, slow start for them. But as a Kings fan, I'm very happy about that. And Golden State Warriors are 2-2. They started out slow, dropping their first 2 games, but they've won the last 2. They're starting to get healthy. Players are starting to come back. Calvin, how do you feel about the Golden State Warriors? Is it too early to panic?
I don't think it's too early to panic, but I'm definitely concerned if I'm Golden State, and that's because of a couple of things, primarily their lack of defense. They are the worst defensive team in the league so far this year. They give up 124 points per game. which you're just not going to win in this league if you give up that many points. I don't care who you are. Steph is playing well so far. He's putting up good numbers, 26.5 points a game, but he's only shooting 31% from three. I feel like that's a result of him trying to shoulder a little bit too much of the load. He's forcing things, trying to do too much out there. And frankly, that's because he doesn't have a lot of help. They do not have a very deep team at all. I think that's definitely been the other main factor that's hurt them this year. Obviously, you're going to get Draymond back, and injuries have certainly killed them. Hopefully when Draymond comes back, they'll be a little bit better defensively. But here's a few players that were on this team just 2 years ago that aren't there anymore. Quinn Cook, Sean Livingston, Andre Iguodala, DeMarcus Cousins, and Andrew Bogut. All of those, with the exception of Cousins, came off the bench. And that's not even mentioning they had Kevin Durant on that team too. So this team's roster has been totally remade, and they really do not have a lot of depth at any position, I would say, right now.
Yeah, and most of those players they lost were all-stars or some one point in their career or with the Warriors.
Or Finals MVP.
Or Finals MVP. The two things that I think are the most contributing factor to the 2-2 record, number one is health, and number two is chemistry. We saw Klay Thompson's out for the entire year. Draymond has not played yet. There's been guys shuffling in and out. We have new players on the team. James Wiseman, Andrew Wiggins was only there for half of last year, and Kelly Oubre. So I think that it's going to take a while for those players to kind of gel together. Kelly Oubre, I think, has the biggest challenge on the team, filling in the shoes for Klay Thompson. He's done well on the defensive end, averaging 2 steals per game and 1 block per game, but has not done very well offensively. He's only shooting 28% from the field, and he's like 1 of 21 from 3 this year. Another bright spot for them would be James Wiseman. He is averaging 1.5 blocks per game and shooting over 60% from 3.
Yeah, James has definitely gotten off to a good start, and that's one of the few bright spots on this team that you can really hang your hat on, for sure. But moving on, we're going to talk now about your Sacramento Kings. Since our last show, the Kings played 4 games. They split those games, going 2-2, playing Phoenix, Denver, and Houston. They are now 2-0 against the Denver Nuggets, and they are the only team in the league to have beaten the Phoenix Suns. So Barry, what were your biggest takeaways from those 4 games?
The biggest takeaways for me are that the Sacramento Kings are legit. They're building towards becoming contender. De'Aaron Fox is growing. Tyrese Haliburton is looking like a serious Rookie of the Year candidate. And the team is to take a word from Al Davis's book, is just win, baby. That's what they're doing. They split the games with Phoenix. Saturday, Sunday, they won the first game, lost in the back-to-back. And then they beat Denver, 2-0 against Denver this year, who was a team many people picked to make it to the Western Conference Finals. I know 3D was on the jump yesterday talking about picking Jokic to win MVP, picking the Nuggets to win the title. So, hey, we're 2-0 against them. Happy about that. We played the Rockets yesterday. James Harden's back. John Wall's back. Eric Gordon's back. DeMarcus Cousins is back. That team has a lot of talent. It's a stacked team, and we stayed with them pretty much the entire game. I was a little disappointed in the third quarter, watching them fall behind. Felt like we stopped playing team ball and we got a little selfish with some possessions. But I was happy with the effort, and I'll take any game where we have a chance to win it towards the end.
Absolutely. That's definitely my biggest takeaway from these games, is that the Kings just absolutely, you feel like they're going to be in every game. You feel like they're going to have a chance to win every game. And as a fan, that's all you can really ask for. For a team that hasn't made the playoffs in 14 straight years, that first step, like we talked about earlier, towards becoming a good team is being competitive. Being competitive against the best teams in the league. And so far, Phoenix and Denver, you would have to think that those are 2 of the better teams, certainly in the Western Conference, if not the NBA. Houston, we're not really so sure about yet what they're going to look like, but as you mentioned, with all that talent, they should be a very competitive team as well. I definitely agree with you. The third quarter has been a big area of concern for Sacramento. They've got to start playing better in the third quarter. When you think about some of the greatest teams of all time, the Warriors in the 2010s, the Bulls in the 90s, those teams came out and they killed teams in the third quarter, and they made it very clear right from the beginning of halftime, we're putting this game away right now, and we're going to make it so that you don't feel like you have any chance whatsoever. Now, I'm not saying the Kings are on that level yet, but they, like you said, have been in every game. They've withstood big runs from teams, particularly in the third quarter. I think there was a 19-0 run in the Denver game the other night, but they made it all the way back. They've played really, really well in the fourth quarter, and they've shown a lot of poise for a young team to be able to battle through that type of adversity. And I think as a young team, being in these games early on in the season, close games like this where you have to learn how to find a way to make winning plays when it counts, that's really going to benefit them down the line if they can make it into the playoffs this year and gain even more experience that way.
Yeah, this is a different team than the comeback Kings. You know, they don't get down double digits and have to fight and claw their way back. They're in the game. You know, the last two games they had a horrible third quarter and fell a little bit behind, but it's not what we're used to. They're not down 20, 25 points trying to come back. They're in these games. So that's pretty much all you can hope for as a Kings fan at this point, and it gives us something to build off of. So let's move on to our next topic, Coach Walton. There's been a lot of speculation on whether Coach Walton will finish the season with the Kings and whether he would even be the head coach this year. So let's go take our first question from the fans.
Is Luke Walton the right choice to lead a young Kings team?
Well, if you had asked me that question early on in the offseason or even last season, I probably would have a different answer for you than I do right now. I think my opinion on Luke Walton is starting to change. And I'm starting to realize that you're only as good as the team that's put around you, right? So I think that getting Monty McNair in there and the assistant coaches that they've brought in, Alvin Gentry, Rex Kalamian, they've really had a big impact on this team. And I credit Coach Walton for getting this young team to buy into what these guys are selling them early on in the year. And you can totally see that evident in their play, particularly on defense, and I think Rex Kalamian has had a huge impact on that. We know he's been a defensive architect in his years in the league in the past. I really, really like the fact that the Kings are mixing up their defensive looks. I like the three-quarter court, full court press that they throw at, usually off of a made free throw, zone defense, man defense. I think that NBA players are too good if you keep giving them the same look over and over again. So I've been really impressed by Sacramento buying in on the defensive end. They've switched a lot of guys. You know, Buddy Hield has really come on strong to me as an off-ball defender, but he's also drawn assignments like James Harden and Devin Booker early on, and you can see his effort out there is really, it stands out to me a lot, and that's a direct result of coaching, I feel like. So I would say that Luke Walton is definitely starting to look like the right fit for this team.
Yeah, I agree. Luke Walton's finally starting to grow on me. As you mentioned, the assistant coaches that he brought in, I love Alvin Gentry. He was Buddy Hield's coach his rookie year in New Orleans. Also did great work with DeMarcus Cousins. I know he's not on the team anymore, but he was the one coach that I felt like was finally able to control DeMarcus. So it's always good to have a personality on that team that knows how to help out and control big superstar personalities. And then, like you said, Rex was a big addition to the Kings. He was the architect of the Clippers defense last year. He also set the culture for the Raptors team, built that defensive culture that ended up winning them a championship. So happy for those additions. If I were hiring a head coach today, I don't think it would be Luke Walton. However, I understand that stability in a franchise is very important, especially in a franchise like the Kings that's been struggling for so long. And I think it's important to keep those names and those players and people intact if you're building and you're growing something. If you change coaches every year, every other year, change GMs, change players too often, you're never going to develop and build a culture in what you want. So as of right now, very happy with Luke. I'd love it if he wore his mask a little bit more during the games. I'm not sure how many fines he's gotten or he's going to get, but I think he's doing a wonderful job with the Kings, and I'm very happy with him right now. Let's move on to our next topic, De'Aaron Fox and Buddy Hield. First question.
What are your expectations for Buddy Hield and De'Aaron Fox this season?
Well, I think the expectations are quite simple. With the absence of Russell Westbrook, the injury to Klay Thompson, and the questions surrounding John Wall and James Harden, I think there will be an open all-star spot on the West team, and I expect De'Aaron Fox to make that team. I think he will continue to improve his three-point shot, his free throw shooting, and his decision-making abilities. As far as Buddy Hield goes, I expect him to be towards the top of the league in three-point percentage and three-pointers made this season. Collectively, I expect both players to continue to gel and establish themselves as a legitimate starting backcourt in the NBA that will help us compete for years to come. Calvin, what are your expectations for the new duo?
I have high expectations for them as well, and a lot of them are the exact same as what you just mentioned. I expect De'Aaron Fox to make the All-Star team this year. He certainly looks the part early on in the season. I expect him to continue to progress in his development as an elite point guard, and that means decision making, knowing when to get others on the team involved, knowing when to try to take over yourself and score for the team. I expect Buddy Hield to just continue to fit into what his role is going to be on this winning culture and winning team moving forward. It's not just that he's going to be putting up a ton of threes every game, it's that he's going to give the effort defensively. He's going to guard the other team's best player on a regular basis every night, and then off-ball defense as well, just making those effort plays. You know, you've seen him get on the floor a lot early on in this season. He just seems very locked in, and together, collectively, I expect them to learn how to win this year. They might not, make the second round of the playoffs or even the Western Conference Finals or anything like that. Those are steps that they need to cross when they get there, but the first step is learning how to win games and make the playoffs in this league. And I expect those two, along with everybody else on the Sacramento Kings, to do that this year. But we'll move on, take our next question about Marvin Bagley.
What do you think about Marvin being on the bench in the fourth quarter?
Well, I think that this is a microcosm of really how this guy's entire career has gone so far. He's been met with a lot of adversity, and he's had to overcome each step along the way, and he's done that to this point. So I feel like he can overcome this as well. Certainly, you want to be out there on the floor in the fourth quarter when the game matters, especially if you're playing well. But you have to acknowledge the fact that when he has been taken out, that lineup that Coach Walton has run with in the fourth quarter has played very, very well for the Kings. They've overcome some big third quarter runs by their opponents. But Marvin has got a lot to be proud about in his play so far this season. He's really showed his versatility both out on the wing with that deadly spin move that we've seen him use to get to his left hand in the middle of the lane, as well as a post-up game. So he's just going to have to overcome this like everything else he's had to overcome in his career, and he's already on a minutes restriction. He hasn't played that much in this league. That's another thing I think you have to take into account. It's going to be a slow process for him to get acclimated so that he can play at the level he knows he's capable of playing at night in and night out. And I hope that the coaching staff is reiterating that to him during the game on the bench and in the locker room after the game, saying, look, man, you are going to be a part of this team moving forward. We just need to bring you along, and it's going to be a slow process. And I think overall, he can definitely handle that.
Yeah, I think other than the third quarter of the Rockets game yesterday, I've been very happy with Marvin's play and everything he's done this season. He seems to be making shots. He's got bounce. He's there on the boards, on both ends of the floor. He's always involved, and I'm very happy to see that stuff. I was proud of him in the Denver game in the first half, 18 points in 18 minutes. I know he only played 5 minutes in the second half, and I saw the tweet by his dad after the game, was very unhappy with it. But, it comes down to winning games, and it's up to the coach who's going to play and who's going to be out there. And, winning, you can be as good at basketball as you want to be, and that doesn't make you a winner. It takes a while to learn how to win in this league, and as you had mentioned, Marvin hasn't played that many games. So I'm going to trust the coach to put the best players out there on the floor in the fourth quarter and help us win a game. If that's Marvin Bagley, I'm happy to see him out there. He's done great for us this year, and I just hope he keeps working and he's ready when his number's called. Next question.
What stands out most to you about this rookie?
What stands out most to me about Tyrese Haliburton is his confidence, his swagger, and his demeanor on the court. He simply doesn't look, act, play, or think like a rookie. This guy surprises me every single night, and I think that every single aspect of his game has translated flawlessly over to the NBA. We see him getting steals, rebounds, making flashy passes to players, and most importantly, hitting three-pointers from all over the court, even way behind the three-point line. I'm very excited for this rookie. I'm proud to have him on our team, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he grows with the Sacramento Kings. I haven't been this excited for a Kings rookie since Tyreke Evans. Calvin, what are your thoughts on Tyrese?
I couldn't agree more with you. I've been very impressed with Tyrese so far this year. I'm probably most impressed with his confidence and his poise out there. He plays with a great patience to his game, which is exactly what you want to see out of a playmaking guard. No moment has really been too big for him so far along the way. He's hit some very big threes in clutch situations for Sacramento. He's been on the court in the fourth quarter, which shows that the coaching staff trusts him, his teammates trust him, and he has been as good as advertised so far this year. It's early on, but I think he's made a great case already for Rookie of the Year, and I hope that he can continue to play this way throughout the season because it's only going to help Sacramento continue to win. He has been very, very good for them. Thank you, as always, for your questions out there. We're going to move on to the end of the show now, where we're going to talk about the great Jerry Reynolds. We, of course, would not be Sacramento Kings fans if we didn't mention the pride of French Lick, Indiana, except for that other guy from French Lick, Indiana. Jerry has devoted his entire life, his entire professional life, to the Sacramento Kings organization. He worked with Sacramento for 35 years before announcing his retirement in November. He held just about every position you can imagine within the organization, from assistant coach to head coach, including general manager and general manager of the WNBA's Sacramento Monarchs, a team that he helped win a WNBA title with. I think a lot of people forget about that. Jerry is a stand-up individual, a class act. He is going to be sorely missed by the Sacramento Kings, and we of course wish him well in the future.
Thank you, Jerry. We love you. 3 games coming up this next week against the Houston Rockets, the Golden State Warriors, and the Chicago Bulls. We'll see you all next Friday. Thanks for watching, and go Kings!
Go Kings!